When I was 13, my mother told me to step out of the family photo. Not a scream, not even a whisper, just one hand gesture, dismissive, like I was a smudge on her perfect canvas. "You're throwing off the look, Aria," she said, smoothing her silk blouse. Then she smiled at the camera. I stood 3 feet to the side, arms limp, while the camera clicked and captured everything. Except me. That night, I skipped dinner. Not in protest, just instinct. I opened my sketchbook and drew myself into a new frame. A world where I was centered, wanted, visible. My name is Aria Morgan, and this is the story of how my mother taught me to disappear, and how I came back so bright she couldn't ignore the glow. Growing up, I thought my mother loved me, not loudly, not in hugs, but in small gestures, packing my lunch, brushing my hair. I convinced myself that was enough, until she changed. It started after the divorce. I was 7. My father, Daniel, was gone in a month. No calls, no letters. Mom said he wasn't built for responsibility. I never got to find out if I was one of those responsibilities. After that, she reinvented. Her wardrobe got sharper. Her Instagram came alive. New job, new friends, and eventually, new kids. Not hers, someone else's. She started dating a man named Greg. Divorced. 2 kids, Logan and Camille. Tan, athletic, brimming with charm. They weren't hers, but she called them her light. Me? I became her shadow. At first I thought I was being dramatic. I told myself she was adjusting, that things would balance out. But they didn't. Logan and Camille's faces filled the frames in the hallway. Soccer, dance, sunlit brunches. I was there too, blurred in the background or cropped at the edge. Once I asked, "Can I be in the next photo?" She didn't even look up from her phone. "You always make it look awkward, Aria. Try smiling like you mean it." I did, but it was never enough. Every birthday, every holiday, I unwrapped practical gifts. Socks, a planner, a reusable lunchbox, while Logan opened a gaming console and Camille got a phone. One Christmas, she handed me a tote bag with a toothpaste ad on it and said, "You're artsy, right? Maybe decorate it or something." At school, I became the quiet girl with the second-hand shoes and too much silence. At home, I was furniture. Greg tried to include me sometimes. He wasn't cruel, just detached. His kids made sure I stayed out of their world. Mom didn't stop them. She encouraged it. The walls of our home grew shinier, more curated, more fake, and I grew quieter. There was one place that felt like oxygen. My grandmother's apartment. My mom's mother, Evelyn Morgan, was nothing like her. She lived in a rent-controlled corner of Portland, surrounded by books, cats, and the smell of peppermint. She called me love and made hot cocoa without asking. She didn't ask me why I looked tired. She just said, "Stay as long as you want." She was the first to see my sketchbook. Lines, logos, mock ads, nothing polished, but hers were the only eyes that didn't skim past them. "You're good," she said, flipping through. "Real good." I shrugged. "No one else thinks so." She smiled, slow and warm. "Then make the world notice." From then on, every weekend I brought my designs to her. She printed them, organized them, made a binder titled Aria's World. At first I rolled my eyes, but secretly, I loved it. Back home, my mother never asked where I went on weekends. She was too busy posing for photos with her family. She always called them that. Never us. Never you and me. Once I asked, "Do you still see me as your daughter?" She didn't blink. "Don't be dramatic. You're too sensitive." That was her catchphrase. Whenever I cried, whenever I asked, whenever I wanted to matter. "You're too sensitive." As if pain was a choice. As if needing her love was a flaw. So I stopped needing, stopped speaking, stopped asking, but I didn't stop creating. And that's where everything began. At 16, I stopped waiting for applause. I didn't need validation, I needed direction, so I gave it to myself. Most girls my age were choosing prom dresses. I was designing logos for fake coffee brands and freelance zines that never paid. I stayed up past midnight studying color theory and typography. No one told me to. No one noticed. Except Evelyn. "You've got an eye," she said once, tracing the lines of my mock ad for a sustainable skincare line. "Sharp, clean. You're telling stories even when you think you're not." She said it like fact, not flattery, like she was stating the weather. At school, I was invisible, unless someone needed help with a group project or wanted answers during a test. Then I became convenient, but I never said no, because even convenience was a form of being seen. By junior year, I had a full digital portfolio. I built a basic website with a free theme and no domain. Just a name on the header, Aria Morgan, visual design. It got maybe 10 clicks. 5 of those were mine. But it existed. That was enough. Then came the design competition. Evelyn had clipped an ad from the local paper, Young Creators, Portland's Youth Design Showcase. She handed it to me over tea, like it was nothing. "Deadline's next month," she said. I checked. "You qualify." I didn't respond right away. She added, "You don't have to win. You just have to show up." So I did. I entered a full branding concept for a fictional cafe called Hollow and Bloom. Logo, menu, interior mood board, even social media mock-ups. I submitted it 2 minutes before the deadline, then forgot about it until an email hit my inbox 3 weeks later. "Congratulations, you've been selected as a finalist. Please prepare a 5-minute presentation." I stared at the screen for 10 full seconds, then ran to Evelyn's apartment with the laptop still open. The night before the presentation, I didn't sleep. I rewrote my script 6 times, practiced in the mirror until my voice cracked. I wore all black, pulled my hair back tight, and carried my mock-ups in a thrifted leather portfolio. When I stepped onto that tiny auditorium stage, my hands were trembling. But I spoke, clearly, slowly, like my future depended on it. Maybe it did. I didn't win first place, but I placed third. They handed me a plaque and a $300 scholarship toward any creative program. The judges said my work felt market-ready, that I had a voice. I left the event lightheaded, holding the plaque like it might evaporate. Mom never mentioned it, even when Evelyn texted her the flyer. Even when the local newsletter published a tiny blurb about my design, she never said, "Congrats," never said proud. Just asked if I could babysit Camille the following weekend. That was when something clicked. She didn't hate me. Not really. She just didn't see me as hers anymore. Logan and Camille fit the life she'd built. Smiling, shiny, predictable. I didn't. I was the static in her curated broadcast, the typo in her Instagram caption, an old story she didn't want to reread. So I stopped trying to fix the narrative. I wrote my own. Senior year, Evelyn pulled a file from her closet. It was old, taped shut, labeled with my name in marker. Inside were every sketch I'd given her since I was 11, organized, numbered, annotated. At the bottom was a sticky note. "You said no one saw you. I did. Let them see too." With her help, I applied to 7 art schools, got into 5, 2 with scholarships. I chose one 3 states away, a private design school with a ridiculous name and a brutal acceptance rate. Evelyn hugged me and cried into my shoulder. "Mom?" She barely blinked. "That's far," she said. "Hope you're not expecting help." I wasn't. The day I left, she didn't come to the bus station. Just Evelyn and me. We packed everything I owned into a single suitcase and a worn duffel bag. She handed me a bag of snacks, a scarf she'd knitted, and one last envelope. "Don't open it till you get there," she said. I cried in the back of that bus, silently, windows down, headphones in, like a cliché, But they weren't sad tears. They were relief. For the first time, I wasn't escaping. I was arriving. College didn't feel like freedom at first. It felt like nothing. No one knew who I had been. No one cared who I was becoming. And maybe that was the gift. My roommate Tessa was chaos in human form. She danced barefoot in the hallway, painted her nails with highlighters, and asked to see my work before asking my name. "You're sick at this," she said, flipping through my digital designs. Like, actually sick. That was the first compliment I ever believed. Tessa posted one of my logo mock-ups on her Instagram story. The next day, her friend, who worked part-time at a boutique, messaged me. They needed someone to design their seasonal lookbook. I did it for $80 and a pair of mismatched earrings. 2 weeks later, another store reached out. Then a blog, then a coffee shop. By the end of sophomore year, I had 3 freelance clients, a part-time job at a design agency, and a new kind of ache in my chest, hope. I didn't tell my mom any of it. To her, I was studying art somewhere in the middle of nowhere. She still posted filtered brunch photos with Logan and Camille, captions like, "So proud of my crew, on family first, blessed life." I never liked those captions. They always sounded like lies whispered loudly. Evelyn, on the other hand, kept everything. Every link, every mention, every project. She printed them out and slid them into a fresh binder labeled ARIA:"PHASETWO." When I called her, she'd answer with, "What did you build this week?" And I always had an answer. By senior year, I had offers waiting before graduation. The biggest came from Axis Creative, a boutique agency known for launching rising lifestyle brands. Their creative director emailed me directly, "Aria, your work doesn't scream. It whispers with confidence. That's rare. Let's talk." I read the email 3 times. Then I called Evelyn and just breathed into the phone. She breathed back. I accepted. Moved into a 1-bedroom apartment in Seattle. Got a dog named Fig, drank too much espresso, and built entire brand identities from scratch. I kept designing, kept learning, kept becoming. And then one Monday morning, it happened. I was invited to speak on a morning segment called New Voices. Nothing fancy, just a 5-minute spotlight on creative entrepreneurs under 30. I showed up in a simple black turtleneck, minimal makeup, and sneakers with scuffed toes. The host smiled too wide. The lights were too bright. But when the camera rolled, I told the truth. I talked about growing up unseen, about sketching in silence, about the one woman who believed in me before I did. They showed some of my earliest work, images Evelyn had saved from high school. The segment aired. Then, everything erupted. Hundreds of messages, emails, speaking invitations, articles titled "The Girl Who Designed Her Way Out." It wasn't viral, it was visible. And that's when she reached out. "Aria, it's your mother. Camille's graduation is next month. You should come. Wear something nice. Don't make it about you. No greeting, no congratulations. Just a demand. Laced with guilt and condescension. Her signature blend." I didn't reply, but I sent Evelyn the message. She texted back, "You should go. Not for her. For you." So I did. I arrived 10 minutes early. Black slacks, soft blouse, no jewelry. Elegant, forgettable. The auditorium smelled like cheap perfume and pride. I sat in the back. They didn't see me walk in. Camille walked the stage. Valerie beamed. Greg clapped too loud. When the ceremony ended, I waited by the exit. My mother spotted me, froze, then put on a smile like armor. "Aria, you came. Look at you." Her eyes scanned me like a checklist. Hair neat, outfit acceptable, no threat detected. We talked, polite, cold, controlled. She asked what I was doing. "These days." I said, "Oh, a bit of design." She nodded, uninterested, until Camille leaned over and said, "Wait, you're the Aria from New Voices? The one with the fashion brand deal?" Valerie's smile cracked. Just for a second. Then she turned to me, voice sugar-sweet. I always knew you had talent. I looked at her, steady and calm. No, you didn't, but that's okay. Silence. Then I handed her a small envelope. Inside was a photo. The family picture from 13 years ago. The one she made me step out of. But this version had been edited. I was in the center, smiling, drawn in ink and gold foil. Beneath it, in clean lettering, "You can't crop me out anymore." I didn't wait for her response. I turned, walked into the late afternoon sun. Outside, Evelyn was waiting in the car. I opened the door, slid into the passenger seat, and said nothing. She didn't ask, just handed me a thermos of tea and whispered, "Good girl." That night, I uploaded the edited photo to my website. No caption, no explanation, just the image. Let the world draw its own conclusions.